The heat wave is finally breaking, but we did go out in a really hot sponge of a day with temperatures reaching up into the middle 90s. And we're seeing some scattered thunderstorms and some isolated severe thunderstorms. We're going to take a look at the radars in just a moment. But there is drier air on the way, and we're going to talk about that and take us through the weekend and maybe do a little bit of long range and look at the quiet tropics. All of that on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. 631-75611 is the phone number. Whether it's to do some landscape repair, since everybody's lawn has been pretty much burned to a crisp in the Northeast, they've got plenty of mulch, which at least looks nice instead of burnt grass. Plus, remember, it is hurricane season. We're going into peak activity. Actually, we have to get some activity, let alone peak activity. But you might need something, some preparation with regards to, say, batteries or a generator or maybe a sump pump, whatever it is. Head over to Omni. The telephone number is 631-756-1125 and the 631-756-1125. And as we all know, the website is
OmniTrueValue.com.
how high did you get
And
today? How high did you
excuse me?
how high did you get today?
That's a good question. And I wish I could. My wife is watching right now, and she can walk over to the weather station and check out, and she could post it on the chat board, or she can send me a message over the intercom here. But I did not have a chance really to watch the weather too much during the day today. Did you hear that?
96?
92.
92. Oh, okay, 92.
92.
I know
So there you
David
go.
Schwartz on a chat board was at 95 or earlier today. Wait, somebody just said they made it to 97. Uh, let's see. Mike DeChiara made it up to 97 today. So, look, the bottom line is it was brutally hot. The thing that stood out to me, Joe, today was at one point the one of the spots up in the Hudson Valley. I'm not sure if it was Albany, but uh, I got a message letting me know that somewhere north of Kingston, the dew point was at 80 this afternoon. I mean,
Ouch.
that is ridiculous. That is such a ridiculous number with regard. Not the op is real. I don't mean to say that the observation is ridiculous. I'm just saying that the fact that you have an 80-degree dew point, to me, is just totally ridiculous.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Well, I know that yesterday, when it hit 94 here, the dew point was 77. And
Oh, that's horrible.
what else
Well,
can I say to that?
the good news is this was the last brutally hot day, so that's good. And for I think most of the folks in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, it was probably the last 90-degree day. I think the temperatures will get held down somewhat tomorrow. Maybe in parts of South Jersey and points southward, you could probably see temperatures get up close to 90, depending on how much cloud cover there is and whether some showers and storms start to bubble up down there later in the afternoon or evening. But we're definitely done with 95, 96, 97. And by the way, we actually do have some activity. I got the radars tonight, and here's the OKX radar or Central Long Island, Upton. And there are actually some fairly strong cells. There was a severe thunderstorm warning up for northeastern New Jersey and in and around New York City, which is now expired. And we've got a special marine warning that just expired. But there are some very strong cells. Looks like a little bit of is that a flash flood warning? I can't see. Hang on a second. Let's just take a look. This would be for Nassau County, I think, on Long Island. But just to give it a quick check here, and we'll do that by go.
The Met fans on our chat board or baseball fans know that the Met game between Cincinnati Reds and the Mets in delay right now because they
Yes.
had one of those. Well, that major that potent cell of precipitation passing through Citi Field and causing all kinds of problems
That
tonight.
it
So,
should be
but the
mostly
game, they will play the game.
it should be mostly done
They will
now.
play the game.
It should be mostly
Yeah,
done now.
they
There, yeah. And
so
there's even the South Shore of Long Island actually getting some strong cells moving out of southern Nassau into western Suffolk County. There's a flash flood warning up for northern Nassau County, so basically from the LIE northward, and those cells are just kind of sliding along. The southern edge of that is right along the Long Island Expressway, and the northern edge right along the North Shore, moving eastward. So we'll see how long they hold together. There are also some thunderstorms just to the south of, barely, but just set to the south of Route 195 in New Jersey, south of Trenton to just east of the Turnpike that are moving eastward across western Burlington and now moving through Ocean County and maybe southernmost Monmouth County. Those are moving along to the east. And we also have some really hefty storms in southeastern Massachusetts, moving out of Rhode Island and into southeastern Mass. Looks like that big red area is headed for Hyannis and Nantucket as it heads out to the south and east, and also some stray cells further north, but not quite to Boston. Actually, there's a couple of cells that have developed right over Boston on the last few frames of this radar moving to the east. And there was a special marine warning up that they had it up and then they took it down. So anyway, those cells are moving right along, and these are actually the exceptions and not the rule, because when you look at the radar on the wider view, it really isn't doing very much. There's a couple of those Jersey cells. There are big breaks in between these areas. That's talk about being scattered, Joe. There's 50 to 100 mile breaks in between each patch. The one in southeastern New England, the one in western Long Island, the area that's now moving through central New Jersey. Then there's a break in southeastern Pennsylvania. Then there's another patch south of Harrisburg and maybe heading towards Lancaster at 7:40 Eastern time, and that sort of arcs back into into central Maryland and into northwestern Virginia. This was, if this summer is remembered for anything aside from the two heat waves, the 7-day 90 plus and the 8-day 90 plus we just went through, is the fact that with all the heat and all the humidity, for most people, you couldn't even buy a thunderstorm.
well, I found it interesting, and you remember yesterday, Joe, from the Storm Prediction Center, and even today, the outlook was that we would see the heaviest bands of precipitation, the heaviest and most severe marginal risk thunderstorm activity, pretty much north and west of New York City and over the higher terrain areas. And meantime, it was just the opposite of that. It seemed it totally missed me. Places up north of me in Dutchess County didn't see much of anything. The places that got hit tonight or this afternoon was to the south of me, down toward New York City. As we just saw, we just talked about Queens, Citi Field, now just getting underway with the ball game there, but a delay there because of heavy rainfall. So sometimes it doesn't seem to happen where you want it to happen. And tonight, it turned out that it happened in a different location. Again,
Well, every one of
over.
these has produced scattered thunderstorms in different areas, but it seems like for most areas they've got in the last 5 weeks, maybe they've gotten hit once, perhaps twice, but there's a lot of spots that have seen very little or nothing. And I mean, it's not like just want to be clear. To those of you who aren't regular watchers, or if you're new watchers to the Joe and Joe Weather Show, welcome. We're not rooting for thunderstorms, but we are rooting for some rain because the rainfall has been almost non-existent for the last 5 or 6 weeks, and that actually may continue for a while longer because we don't really have any mechanism to bring up a ton of tropical moisture to couple with these cold fronts that are moving through. And in fact, we're going to get a dry air mass to come down from Canada to end the heat and humidity. And all of this, and that means no thunderstorms. Take a look at the satellite. Look how bone dry and clear it is in the Great Lakes, the western Great Lakes, the northern plains into the northern Rockies, the central plains, hardly a cloud in the sky. And if you go northwest into the Canadian provinces, except for southwestern Canada, it is bone dry. And that bone dry Canadian air is headed our way. We just have to do some work with the clouds and showers and thunderstorms that are out to the west. We still have another weather front to get through. This first one's going to stall. We've got another weather front to deal with, and there are blow-up showers and thunderstorms going on ahead of that to our south across the lower Ohio and Tennessee Valley and Gulf states. And you see where the tropical moisture in the Gulf of Mexico blowing up this evening, and also seeing range, Joe, moving up the west from Arizona up through Nevada and into Oregon and Washington State. I'm going to widen the radar so we could take a look at that. And yeah, I mean, there are patches of showers and heavy rain from coming out of Mexico through Arizona, a little bit in New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, and then moving north into Oregon and Washington. It's like a train of showers there that are moving northwestward.
Yes, as you were talking, I was looking at the real-time weather data from NCAR, looking at their satellite picture, which I kind of like to see.
You can
In fact,
share it.
if you want me to share,
Yeah,
can I
go.
share it or?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, all right, hold
You are
on.
welcome to share anything and everything you want whenever you want. It means I get to talk less, which I think might be a good thing. But go ahead.
Okay, take a look at this. This is interesting. I always like this is now the long wave infrared off of uh, the NCAR site, and you could see you literally see where the blowups of thunderstorm activity is occurring, and also basically what the blow-offs look like. You can see right here, right here. That's in fact this particular cell kind of blew up over the northeast corner of New Jersey and then worked its way across the river into the New York City metropolitan area. Anyway, all of this activity diurnally driven. And once we get into the late night hours tonight, a lot of what you see here will pretty well diminish under the cooling nature of the evening hours. I just want to see what this look like on the visible. Here's the visible. You can see the sun is going down. Always like looking at a visible satellite near sunset. Looks almost three-dimensional. Look at that. Those big blow-ups, those big towering cumulus clouds, all forming. So there you go.
Yep.
And we'll have one more round, I guess, tomorrow of showery and thundery weather, and then we'll deal with a big change as we get toward the end of the week.
Yeah, and I think for most, I know some people out there like the heat and humidity. They wish it could go on forever. There are planes for that to take you to Florida if that's what you'd like. But it is going to come to an end, and it's not going to be for just a day or 2 days, but it may actually last 3 or 4 days. And just to hint at the long range, Joe, when I was taking a look at it, troughing in the east is going to stay for a while. The original trough that's bringing this large shot of Canadian air eastward is going to lift out, but there are other troughs behind it that are dropping into the eastern part of the United States. And I'll just say again, we don't have any tropical systems to worry about at the moment, and we may not have any tropical systems to worry about for a while based on what I've been seeing the last day or two. But it is a little concerning to me that we're seeing troughs dropping into the eastern part of the United States like this because once we do get tropical activity, if they're going to be troughs along and just west of the coastal plain, I think you have to consider the possibility that maybe when the hurricane season does get going, that these systems may wind up being systems that would favor more the eastern seaboard as opposed to, say, going into the Caribbean or in the Gulf of Mexico.
And we were talking yesterday, Joe, aside from the tropics, we were talking yesterday about the possibility mid or late week next week of some significant and much needed rainfall
Yes.
here in the northeastern United States. And if we want to switch back to the screen here. Here we see, whoops, sorry about that. Didn't want it there, but hang on for a second. Why won't that? Oh, I know why. Here we go. Right. So you see here, this is what is outlined here in Maryland, southeastern Pennsylvania, Delaware, mostly all of New Jersey, southeastern New York and Long Island, and all of Connecticut. Slight chance for excessive rains falling in this zone. We mentioned this last night. Some kind of a coastal system may be spinning up by about the middle of next week. That's for the 17th through the 20th. So we're talking about a week from tomorrow, Wednesday, through a week from Saturday, August the 20th, Saturday the 20th. And I don't know about any of you, but I am rooting for this. I really do hope that we do get more than just a quickie heavy downpour. I'm hoping that we're going to get some heavy duty soaking rains out of this for that time frame. We back up a little bit and show you the entire United States. So the southern New England and mid-Atlantic region in line for possible wet weather middle of next week. And meantime, about the same time frame, we have here in this area in the southwest more monsoonal rain and shower activity enveloping, well, let's see, this would be for much of northern and central Arizona, northern and western sections of New Mexico, a large part of Utah, western and central sections of Colorado. That's for the moderate risk of significant rain. If we back up a little bit, you can see surrounding that a broader area of wet weather, which encompasses places like, well, Southern California, Nevada, also on into northern Utah, the southern end of Wyoming. So this area here will be getting wet at the same time that will be getting wet here in the mid-Atlantic and southern New England part of the country. These showers are basically seasonal monsoonal rains, which they see every year about this time. And they started early this year with the monsoons back in the beginning of June. And they need it because when I was out there in May, it was really, really bone dry. So they could use every single raindrop. And even though it has continued to persist now into a third month, June, July, August, they can use everything that they can get to help to alleviate the, in some cases, rather severe drought that they have been dealing with for many, many moons out there.
Before, since you brought up the possibility that maybe we can get into some rain for next week, I'm going to do the tropics. I'm going to show the tropical satellite now because one of the things that we've been watching with seemingly less and less interest now, to an extent, is this tropical wave that has moved off the African coast. We really haven't been putting too much, haven't been really bullish at all with respect to development because of the fact that when we looked at what was going on in the upper air, especially north of 20 degrees north, there is a ton of wind shear. And in fact, if you look at the loop itself, you notice the clouds are actually blowing from south to north. So it's not an ideal setup here for strengthening. In the Caribbean, you can see these clouds going from south to north. There is a blowup of showers of thunderstorms going on in the western half of the Caribbean and on up into the Gulf of Mexico. We'll see what happens with that overnight into tomorrow. There's probably some kind of upper trough that's causing all of that to happen, but it's not being discussed by the Hurricane Center. But just going back to this particular tropical wave, if this does not develop, if you look carefully at the GFS, Joe, this actually tracks north of the islands. The moisture does rather quickly. There is an identifiable feature that you can follow along that turns up along or just off the East Coast. So you got to wonder whether maybe if we were to get something as far as if we get a solid rain setup that involves, say, some kind of a low near the coast, just offshore, just onshore, it could possibly draw some of this moisture. I know it's a long ways away, but the track would suggest that it would just go west northwest forever. It's not impossible that this could time out where this thing doesn't develop, but that tropical moisture maybe gets involved. Perhaps I don't know what their discussion is saying in the long range if they're even mentioning that possibility, but I think it you look at the GFS, that's what it's been doing for days now with that tropical wave. So if you're maybe that'll be something that'll uh, bring a good soaking rain in addition to whatever the non-tropical system generates as far as rain is concerned.
Yeah, I would think that they would might very well factor that in with the potential of some kind of development along the mid-Atlantic next the middle of next week. Certainly to draw in that moisture to and maybe that's why that they have it not just for the 17th or 18th, but they've got it from the 17th all the way out till the 20th. So
Right.
it will be interesting
And we're going to have a,
to
we're going to have a southerly flow along the east coast, or at least a south-southwest flow. So could some of that moisture could hook up with it. And I look, you don't want too much of it, but if we can get a solid rainfall here to make up for the dry. I think it was dry in June. It was definitely dry. Some places set records in July for the driest Julys on record. Um, a little bit of tropical moisture will certainly help the cause as far as the areas that right now are under some sort of have been designated with some drought conditions.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we'll see. That again is not for this week, but it's the middle of next week. So things may get rather interesting around here. We
Yeah.
may have actually something to talk about on Coffee with Joe and Joe on Sunday.
Yes. In the meantime, just want to go back to the radar because we do have patches of heavy downpours and thunderstorms. It's not solid coverage. You can see the areas are broken up. Some big storms in north central Kentucky again, and into southern Indiana. Also in parts of West Virginia, western North Carolina, into Tennessee. A little bit of activity in and around Atlanta right now in Georgia, and also in southwest Georgia, northern Alabama. Quite a few storms along the Mississippi-Tennessee state line that are moving northward. Also back in the northern half of Louisiana, seeing some storms there, and in the western half of Oklahoma, and in Texas, also from Dallas-Fort Worth on westward into northwest Texas, seeing some showers and storms. And as we pointed out earlier, it's also busy in the southwest, and we've got actually quite a few flash flood warnings that are going up in Arizona. Even a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings flash here on the radar. So pretty busy there. Let's see if we can get some of the rain, some of that tropical moisture, as we said, for later next week. Storm Prediction Center had a marginal risk of severe weather today from northeastern Maryland and Delaware into eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and southeastern Massachusetts. For some areas, you got some thunderstorms with the odd severe cell here and there. But whenever you see a marginal risk, think isolated severe thunderstorms. Because years ago, when they used to have the designations, they didn't have a marginal risk. They would just, I think they used to just have they had slight risk, moderate
Light,
risk,
moderate,
yeah,
and yeah.
yeah.
So
So,
it's
yeah, when they added the marginal risk, when they didn't have the marginal risk, they would just say in their discussion, or they would just say isolated severe thunderstorms could occur in, this state or that state or this area or that area, and then they went to the marginal risk. So again, when you see marginal risk, think isolated severe thunderstorms. And on day two, which is Wednesday into Thursday, we've got a small area of marginal risk for the Delmarva Peninsula, Maryland, central and eastern Maryland, and much of the eastern half of Virginia. Also up in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State and northeastern Oregon. And for day three, which is Thursday into Friday. Now, this is with the arrival of the last cold front. They have general thunderstorms, Joe, except for eastern Maine. They have general thunderstorms up and down the eastern seaboard, the Ohio Valley, pretty much everywhere east of the Mississippi. But draw a line from, say, just south of Detroit, northern Indiana, northern Illinois, northwestward up through central North Dakota. From there, north and west, nothing. And also no storms from Kansas, from southern South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas to Oklahoma and North Texas. They've got nothing. But the point is that the area that's around the Great Lakes where they don't show any thunderstorms, that's the dry air. That's the really super, let's call it the super duper dry air that is coming down for with the dew points in the 40s for Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward. And of course, we mentioned this yesterday, along with the return to more tolerable weather, more tolerable conditions, we will be seeing a full moon on Thursday night, and also for the upcoming weekend. I wish the full moon was not there, because if it were not there, we would have excellent weather and excellent conditions for viewing the
No, Joe.
annual Perseid
No,
meteor
Joe. If
shower.
if the full moon were not there, it would be overcast. Okay?
You're right.
Because
You're right.
every
Every year,
year it's overcast. And if there were a full
except when
moon,
there's a full moon,
right,
then it's,
exactly.
yeah. So,
Now,
but if you're not doing anything Friday night, you can take a look. Uh, most of the meteors, most of the meteors from the Perseids Friday night probably will be hidden by the light of the bright moon. But the Perseids usually spit out a few outstandingly bright fireballs and even exploding meteors from time to time. And just lying out there and waiting and watching and looking around, just one of those can make your whole night if it happens when you're looking up. So
I
something to
feel
look forward
if
to.
I feel courageous, I don't know if it's going to be clear here. I'd go to well, actually, it might be clear because all that dry air is coming down to me too. I could watch them from Blood Mountain or just take it up to. I can't go up Brasstown Ball at night because it's closed and there are no street lights.
I
Okay,
would not go up. I would
yeah,
not go up Brasstown
yeah. No,
Mall.
there's no street lights there. You have guardrails, but no, I'm not going to do that. WPC's rainfall. This only goes, by the way, through next Tuesday night. So we were talking rain maybe for later next week. It would be after Tuesday night. So it's not really showing very much. The Northeast is pretty dry. So where you see those little areas of blue, that's probably from thunderstorms that we would get tonight in some places up in New England. Uh, After 8 o'clock, we just hit the 8 o'clock Eastern time just now, and say whatever falls tomorrow into Thursday. So that wouldn't amount that doesn't amount to too much. 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half, Lower Ohio and Tennessee Valley. 1.5 to 3 inches of rain forecast for the Gulf Coast. Southeast Texas to the Florida Panhandle. Lesser amounts as you move further inland. You can see the trail of moisture from the monsoons coming up through Mexico, showing rains shooting all the way up into Wyoming and Montana and Colorado, anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half over the next 7 days. And they just keep piling it on, which is at least easing those dry conditions that have been out there. So let's run through. Might as well get the 18Z GFS. I mean, it can't be any that much different than the 12Z.
When you
But
get a chance, I have the latest drought map for the Northeast
all
up.
right, why don't you do that? Go ahead. And while you're doing that, I can prep. I'll prep the model maps here. So let's bring you back. There you go. So go ahead and do your drought thing.
Well, sadly, things have only gotten worse since the last map that we posted. You now see that most of New England, most areas that are in white, but most of New England has either abnormally dry or moderate drought, and in some cases, right across eastern Connecticut, Rhode Island, central and eastern sections of Mass. Let's see, I believe this is Columbia County. It's up toward Albany. They have a moderate drought, also moderate drought, and believe me, it is moderate here at Rancho Rayo. I mean, my lawn, front lawn and back lawn, big patches of brown. Putnam County, northern and central sections of Orange County, southern sections of Sullivan and Ulster, and much of Dutchess County enveloped in what is being categorized as a moderate drought. Also, moderate drought across the southern half of Long Island. I guess you could say anywhere below or south of 495, the
Yep.
Long Island
The
Expressway,
South Shore
it's
of Long,
moderate drought.
yeah, the South Shore of Long Island has been almost completely shut out of thunderstorm activity, and some years it's the North Shore that gets shut out, and this year it was the South Shore, which is it's weird, but Long Island has weird things weather-wise happen on Long Island. Let's put it that way.
Right. And 495, north of 495, they're not totally out of it. They are in what is referred to as abnormally dry. At least that is the category that they're looking at. Now, let me just see here for a second.
If you could
Can I
also,
enlarge Suffolk County?
yeah,
Is it possible to enlarge Suffolk County? No, it's not. I thought there was a chance that I could actually bring up Suffolk County. Well, that's not Suffolk County. Oh yeah, what they do is they outlined it in black.
right.
I wanted to see a nice close-up picture, but
Right. Can you
they
bring up? Let's take that you look at that one. I was going to say bring up that regional map so we can look at New England and down into the Mid-Atlantic states.
all right. Well, here's New England. Interestingly, for places like West Virginia, for example, and Maryland and Delaware, really not all that bad. And southern and southwestern Pennsylvania, it's just the place that's getting hit the hardest right now, again, is over and across much of New England and portions of Pennsylvania and New York State. And much of New Jersey is either in abnormally dry category or in north central New Jersey, moderate drought category.
And while you have it there, Joe, check out the Southwest because it's been raining just to see how long it takes to get rid of a drought that's been going on for the better part of almost probably a year. That and we're still seeing basically for Arizona and New Mexico, they've picked up rain, and same for Utah. But look how long it takes. I mean, it's been really raining there on and off for weeks and weeks now, and they still are in that. What is that, Red? Is that extreme drought?
Extreme drought. Extreme drought. The orange is severe drought. The I guess the mauve or light brown, that would be a moderate drought, and the yellow is simply abnormally dry. There is no place with all the rain that has fallen, as you pointed out, Joe, with all the rain that has been falling there for quite a number of weeks now. There's still no part of Arizona that has no drought or no dry conditions or normal conditions. It is it is it ranges from abnormally dry to extreme drought all across Arizona, in spite of all the rain that has been falling there. Next door in New Mexico, you can look at that. Oh, even worse. My goodness. This dark shade of red that you see is exceptional drought. And
And,
again,
and
the
exceptional,
best.
by the way, is not a good thing.
No,
Okay,
it's not.
it's not a positive thing.
And if we look over the entire western third of the country, everybody is in some sort of drought, except maybe for portions of Washington State and northern Idaho and portions of Montana. This amazes me. How is this possible? I guess they've had quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity in these regions here, but they seem to all be missing this part of Montana right here, which is in extreme drought. Most everywhere else, it's just you know abnormally dry or no drought scenario at all.
Well,
But again,
certainly
Montana,
the terrain plays a huge role in how all that rain is distributed anyway. There's got to be all
true,
sorts of shadow effects that go on. Even with the
true.
monsoon, there's got to be a side, the other side of the peaks where they're getting next to nothing.
In fact, that's a good point because here would be the continental divide. And if you get some upsloping here, especially here, you'll get lots of heavy duty rains and showers. And that apparently is what has been happening right in this zone. Oh, no, excuse me. Pardon me.
The opposite.
What am I talking about? It's just the opposite.
Yeah.
The continental divide is here. And no, it's not. That's not the story because it's exceptionally dry over here. It's been exceptionally dry over the high terrain areas of Montana, and over here. Again, no such problem in terms of rainfall. Everything is pretty well normal for there, but it's right here where I guess all of the heavy-duty rains have been missing because that's why they're in extreme drought, again, in this part of Montana. But yeah, generally speaking, across the western third of the United States, it is anywhere from, you know, abnormally dry to bone dry to exceptionally dry with that exceptional drought in the darkest shades of red.
Crazy. Burner Lady hitting super chat tonight. Thank you so much. Nice to see you on the chat board tonight. And by the way, big welcome to all our regulars and even some new folks on the chat board. Welcome aboard. Enjoy yourself because that's what we're about here. We're not about hype. We're not about getting people raged up into a panic. We're just about having fun and doing weather, and that's what we've been doing now for the last 38 minutes or so. All right, let's go to the maps. I got the GFS prepped up. We're going to start with the dew point map because that is really front and center what is the story as we head in toward and into the weekend. So I have it here for tomorrow. Now there is dew point relief from this first front. In fact, before we even do this, what did I do with it? Nope, that's not it. There it is. So here's the 21Z surface map. So this lead front now is through, as at 5 p.m. anyway, was through central Massachusetts. It's just north and west of you, Joe, into northeast PA, into southwest PA, and then it becomes stationary across southern Ohio, Indiana, into Missouri. So basically, in the area south of that stationary front is all that loaded stuff with the showers and thunderstorms that we showed you on the radar from earlier that are going on in the lower Ohio and Tennessee Valley and down in the Gulf states. Now, what we're waiting for is front number 2, and that is back here now coming into through northwestern Minnesota and extending down into North Dakota, becomes stationary across Montana, and then goes back up into southwestern Canada. There's your high, that 1022 high in what province is that in Canada? Is that Alberta?
I'm running. I usually go as British Columbia, going
Right,
from left to right.
right.
British Columbia, Alberta,
Alberta.
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan. Yes, right, exactly. Susquehanna. The Saskatchewan Hat Company. The difference
Yeah,
between the air masses, though, if you look, it's about the dew points because the dew points behind this first front. If you go up into upstate New York, the dew points dropping down to near 60 at 5 o'clock in the afternoon in western New York, and then you get into dew points in the 50s in Michigan, in Wisconsin, over into Iowa and Minnesota. But then get behind the second front with a second wind shift to the north, and here you're looking at dew points that are in the 40s and even in the 30s as you go further north. That's the air mass we're waiting for, and that is going to be coming through. That front's going to be coming through here on Thursday. Now, we are actually not that the GFS wants to bring Joe dew points into the 50s tomorrow, in the upper 50s from northern New Jersey northward. So you might actually get a little bit of dew point relief tomorrow, say northern New Jersey, northern Pennsylvania, northward up into New England. And then on Thursday, when that second front goes by, that's when you start to see those dew points really come down Thursday night and Friday. And by Friday afternoon, we've got dew points in the 40s in Pennsylvania, in New Jersey, down into Virginia, West Virginia, and even into northwestern North Carolina, showing up with a dew point of 46. And some of those dry dew points by Saturday morning down to me, 42 dew point near me, Joe. 42 dew point for
wow.
early Saturday morning. I can't wait to see the temperature that might go with that up here in the mountains. Maybe I'll get down to low. Last summer, right around the same time, we had something similar happen where we got down to, if I remember correctly, we got down here to like 54 or 53, and and the dew points were down in the 40s, lasted for about a day or so. It was delightful. I mean, it was just great. I can't wait for this. And here we go for Saturday. Look at all that dry air getting down into the southeastern part of the United States. And on Sunday as well, Sunday afternoon, you've got dew points in the 40s, almost all the way down into North Carolina. And on Monday, we are still dealing with dew points that are pretty reasonable in the 50s. Nothing crazy. And then on Tuesday they start to come up a little bit, but you can see another area of dry air in the Great Lakes that's moving southeastward. That's probably with another frontal zone, another frontal system. And here's where, as we were talking about earlier, you notice that those dry dew points have a tough time making it further to the south because of where the trough is along the east coast, and perhaps that's where we could wind up generating some much needed rain. So let's go to the surface and see what's going on, and then we'll look at the upper air from this. And again, this is still down the road. We have to see how the upper air shapes up ultimately. Right now, the models are all sort of playing games with how the trough is going to line up in the east. But here we go for tomorrow. Of course, this first front goes by, stalls, kind of falls apart. There's some showers and storms. Not much during the day tomorrow, but tomorrow night into Thursday morning, a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity. Looks like most of that actually slides by just offshore. And then, of course, here comes the dry high that comes in, and that front pushing all the way down into North Florida. That is so far south for this time of year. I mean, that just doesn't happen very often. That high is still here on Sunday. Little shower activity with a low in Michigan moving southeast through the Great Lakes Sunday night into Monday. Actually, the GFS is showing some showers around Monday night. I'm not sure how real that is, but it looks like there's another front that comes through on Monday and another high that builds in for the middle of, or tries to build in for the middle of next week. But you can see these systems, something off the southeast coast pushes up the coast with some rain. And then another one follows that the weekend of the what is that? The weekend of the 20th to the 21st, and then maybe another one after that. Yep, there's another one after that. So let's look at what the upper air is going that's driving all this, what that all means. And it's really, at the end of the day, Joe, it's all going to be about where does the trough, how does it set up here in the eastern part of the United States? We'll use the North America view. And I've already jumped a week from now. There's a trough right just east of 80 up and down the eastern seaboard next Tuesday night. And just backing it up, here comes the upper trough for Thursday and Friday. That brings the beautiful dry air mass for Friday and into the weekend. It hangs around because the low cuts off, lifts up. A lot of the trough gets left behind. Another trough drops in for Tuesday into Wednesday. Then part of that lifts up, and part of it gets left behind in the Ohio Valley and the southeast. And then it looks like another trough may be getting ready to drop in, or at least may try to drop in. Yeah, again, how far west is it going to be? It's got to be far enough west that we can create a south-southwest flow up the eastern seaboard to bring up some tropical moisture and setting up for some much-needed rain. But if it's too far west, then it just gets very warm and humid again. If it's too far east, all the rain will be offshore and we will just be bone dry. And of course, as I mentioned, you got that tropical system that the model picks up on. Another one out here around the 24th, sitting along 70 north. I'm going to just go to the Atlantic map. Let's go to the North Atlantic map. See what it did with that. Hello? Yes, load, please.
Hello?
Hello? Yes, operator.
Hey, oh, lady!
Hey, lady. Hi, Mrs. Lady. All right, so the GFS is still trying to do something with this lead wave. It's got an 07 low closed off on Thursday evening. So it's trying to make this into a little tropical depression that moves along. Come on. There we go. It's still there on Saturday. But remember, once it gets north of 20 north, there is shear around. And the sea doesn't really strengthen. It's like a 10-12, 10-14. There's a closed isobar next Monday, well northeast of Puerto Rico. It's still there Tuesday, and then moves west-northwestward. You see what's going on along the east coast, and it just sort of basically gets all absorbed into this sort of a coastal wave that develops late next week. It's a little far southeast, but that could be the model error, and that could wind up being further to the west. But yeah, Joe, it does at least hint at the idea that maybe some of that tropical moisture could get absorbed in whatever forms along the east coast.
It's yeah, and whatever flow literally like sucks all that moisture into the circulation of the projected circulation of the storm that's due to form next. It's so funny. We're dealing with mathematical calculations. We're dealing with things that haven't even occurred or don't even exist. Sometimes we look at a storm way out, let's say out west, and say, okay, that's going to be coming this way. What we're dealing with here is the reliance on the computer various model guidance that there will be some kind of a system developing in relation to that upper trough about the middle of next week, and then we just have to, maybe interpolate or extrapolate from the moisture of that wave that's way, way out over the ocean now, and whether or not that moisture gets sucked in to enhance or to accentuate the potential of a significant rainfall, much needed rainfall here in the middle and latter part of next week. I don't want to hear from anybody. I don't care. You know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if back in February you looked at the calendar and you said, all right, Martha, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take off the 17th, 18th, 19th of August and maybe into the weekend. And, yeah, if that happens and we do end up with cloudy and rainy and unsettled weather, that's the way it goes. We need the moisture, and hopefully we will get it later next week.
And by the way, I'm going to run.
Sorry, Martha.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to run Mrs. Ann Sambles, or the ensembles. I'm going to run the ensemble GFS. I like to call her Mrs. Ann Sambles. And there's a point here that by running it forwards, you're going to think that I'm running it backwards. All right. But I'm not running it backwards. I'm running it forwards here. There's your trough in the east. And, it kind of settles there along the east coast. And it just starts to slowly retrograde back westward. I mean, you look at this map, it's like, Joe, you're running, this is where, Joe, you're running the map backwards. No, especially because it's the ensembles, which usually are so smoothed out that they just always seem to show everything moving west to east. If the ensembles are showing something, a trough retrograding back westward, you could probably make a pretty good bet that that's what's going to happen. And in fact, it does do that, and it just pulls it all the way back into the Ohio Valley. So this might be at least suggesting the idea that perhaps the flow along the East Coast could be more southerly than the operational is advertising, in which case we would get maybe a chance for a significant soaking rain toward the latter part of next week.
Well, we'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
All right, so let's do Briller Jeopardy tonight. We hope Mother Briller is doing well. She took a bit of a fall, but she seems to be recovering from that. Nothing broken, which is good. So we wish you well, and get back on your feet. Get back on your feet. By the way, I only have, I think, 15 episodes left to go on my binge watching 9 seasons or 270 episodes of Perry Mason. So I got 15 left. That's a lot. That's a lot of hours, Joe. That's 270 hours. That's a week. That's almost what is that? 12 days. If I watched it nonstop, it would take me probably about 12 days to watch it through. 11 or 12 days. That's a lot of television. Anyway, go on. It's a lot of Perry Mason anyway, because I haven't been watching much of anything else. But we're still on Perry Mason as far as clues or questions are concerned.
Here's one that I know that you will get even before I finish the question. Are you ready?
Yes.
A double Best Actress Oscar winner. 1935's Dangerous. 1938.
Oh, Betty Davis. Betty Davis.
All right. Why don't even bother to expend any energy into asking the question?
The case of Constant Doyle.
In the absence of Perry, this female
And by the
lawyer
way,
takes
in
on a
that
case.
episode, Neil Hamilton, Commissioner Gordon, and he's I've caught him, I think, probably on 5 or 6 Perry Masons. So he was a recurring
Yeah,
character.
he and Victor Buono,
Yes.
and of course, then there was the one with Adam West.
Yes.
So a lot of the Batman characters were coming out of Perry
And
Mason's
of course
courtroom.
and of course the beautiful Ruta Lee.
Was she ever a Batman criminal?
You know what? I think she was in one of them where she was like the, what do they call her? The mall? The like the female, like the girlfriend of the criminal. I don't remember which one, but I have a memory of her
Yeah. All
being
right.
on
Well,
Batman.
well, like I said, they went into the courtroom and they said, "All right, you, and you, come over to Gotham City with us." All right, number 8 on the list of 30 questions that was provided from this website by the chairman. Perry Mason uses the services of the Drake Detective Agency as he did in the original series. Paul Drake has died. However, the agency is taken over by his son, Paul Drake Jr. What is special about the actor who plays the younger Paul
William,
Drake?
you're talking about William Catt,
That's right.
and William Catt
William
is the uh, son of Barbara Hale, who is Della
mm-hmm.
Street.
Della Street, and she's married to actor Herman Cott, better known by his stage name Bill Williams. Really? I wouldn't have known. All right.
By the way, I think I may be wrong on Ruta Lee being on Batman because I'm just doing a quick. Um, she was in the movie Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I didn't know that. But I don't see any reference to her being on Batman. And she's still alive, by the way. She's still with us.
Yes. In fact, in his autobiography, before he passed away, he wrote his autobiography. Alex Trebek said that he knew of no other person, male or female, in Hollywood who knew virtually everyone.
Yes.
He must have had like a really big, little black book. He must have had a big black book. She said Ruta Lee knew everybody, everybody. And the reason why he was able to say that is that for several years he and she shared co-hosting a then popular game show, High Rollers. Ruta Lee was the one who threw the dice. Anyway,
Yes.
um, another Oscar winner. This is our last question tonight. Plays George Spengler, a servant to Perry Mason's client John Kenyon in the 1963 episode "The Case of the Greek Goddess." Who is this movie and TV veteran who won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor as Dragline, the leader of the chain gang members in Cool Hand Luke?
Oh God.
You
Arthur.
may also remember him as Joe Petroni, chief mechanic for TWA
Yeah.
in the airport films.
Kennedy. Is it George Kennedy?
George Kennedy.
George Kennedy. Yes. I remember the episode that you're talking about. I just watched it maybe a few days ago. I'm just checking really quick. I'm running through, you know,
And believe it or not, George Kennedy did not start out as an actor. George Kennedy, according to this little summation here that I have in front of me, he was introduced. No, he was induced. Sorry, he was induced to try acting by Phil Silvers when Kennedy was serving as the technical advisor on the old Sergeant Bilko Phil Silvers show. So he was a behind the scenes person, and apparently Phil Silvers said, "Hey, George, why don't you get in front of the camera? Let's try you out there." And from that, he became, an Oscar winner.
By the way, she was also in 1963. She was in an episode of The Twilight Zone entitled "A Short Drink from a Certain Fountain," as a woman whose elderly husband undergoes a scientific experiment and then ages backwards.
ages backwards. I mean,
Yes.
he becomes like an old man, then a young man, then a
Well, no, he's
teenager.
an elderly. Yeah, and then he goes backwards. Yeah. I don't remember seeing that Twilight Zone episode.
It's funny you say that because I remember when they came back with the Twilight Zone on CBS back in I think the 80s. There was an episode I remember of that Twilight Zone. It wasn't a man. It wasn't a man. It was a woman who was getting progressively younger as time wore on. So maybe they took the original script and just simply flipped it in terms of the gender.
Yeah, she did five
Anyway,
guest appearances on Ruta Lee did five guest appearances on on Perry Mason between 1908 and 1958 and 65, including the roles of murderer Connie Cooper in the case of the Screaming Woman, defendant Millie Crest in the case of the Footloose Doll in 1959, so 58, 59, as Vita Culver in the case of the Prudent Prosecutor, and as Vivian Cosgrove in the episode The Case of the Libelous Locket in 1963. And she did a lot
no
of.
relation. No relation to Larry Cosgrove, I might add, in case he's
Right.
watching.
Okay. And she did a lot of episodic TV. I mean, uh, uh, the original Hawaii. I'm trying to just go through Wagon Train, Bat Masterson, Hawaiian Eye, Rawhide, The Wild Wild West, Ironside, The Fugitive, Hogan's Heroes, the Andy Griffith Show. She even did. I think she did an episode of Gomer Pyle, scanning through this earlier. Maverick, uh, all these old shows that anybody here under the age of 50 probably has no idea what we're talking about. But, but just that, uh, the, the great Ruta Lee, who knew? I didn't know she was in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, but she was. She was
Did
one of the
not know that
she
either.
was one of the brides. She definitely was
Amazing.
not one of the brothers. Let's put it that way. All right, we are at 8:30 on the nose Eastern Time. Birder Lady hitting super chat tonight. Thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
thanks for everybody being here tonight. We will be back tomorrow night, same bat time, same bat channel, 7:30 Eastern, and yeah, we are going to be here, aren't we?
The good Lord willing, Joe.
Yes,
You
and
never know.
second, I'm trying to do something and I can't do it. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. All right, so I'm trying to move this thing. There we go. So the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, on Long Island in Southwest Suffolk County, serving the entire New York, New Jersey, Connecticut tri-state area. Everything you need, whether it's to landscape your yard, come wintertime for anything you need to clean up, because we're going to get tons of snow and ice. And in the meantime, we've got hurricane season, so make sure you got whatever necessary things you need to have when it comes to that. 631-756-1125 is the phone number, and the website is
OmniTrueValue.com.
all right. All right, nighty night, Mr. Rayo.
Nighty night to you. Good night, Chet. Good night, David.
Good night, everybody.